Hello, my sweeties. My name is Klenda. My creative brand is called Velvets and Indigo, and this podcast is for you as well as it is for me. I wanted a place to vent when I'm struggling with something we as creatives just go through sometimes. And also, I feel like sharing my stuff might help you get through your own stuff, you know? And also, I keep having some serious insights along the way that I just need to share with you. And last but not least, I am also a somatic work and Kundalini energy facilitator. Because this kind of work, it basically kept this artist going. So welcome to Raw Life Artist. This is gonna be fun. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode. My name is Klenda, and I'm your host. And today, I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about surrender. Surrendering to life, to basically everything that we don't have like control over. And I don't mean surrender as in a I'm giving up kind of way, but about surrendering to life and situations, especially when we can't control them or have no direct means to influence it. And I mean, this act of surrender, it's one of the most vulnerable fucking things we can do because we tend to fucking control things because we want to make sure we're safe. And this is basically our nervous system trying to keep us safe, control. But sometimes it's just out of our control and then we feel freaking helpless. And the act of surrender, it helps us move with life, and it doesn't matter if it's like life situations or the creative process. I mean, we cannot force or control inspiration. This is also about surrendering, and it's the hardest fucking thing to do. And I learned that the hard way. And I'm gonna tell you a story because I've been to Cyprus a couple of weeks ago because I'm training to be a coach, a somatic facilitator and somatic work facilitator. And we do a lot of energetic work as well. And we met on Cyprus for a retreat as part of this training. And we were, learning stuff in person, holding space for people and just practicing holding sessions for people. And I went there a couple of days early because I wanted to spend some time in Cyprus, in Larnaka, just by myself. And I booked a flight a little bit too late, so it was freaking expensive. So I had a choice. I could either pay 700 something bucks for a direct flight, or I could pay, I don't know, it was 350 for like one connection flight in between, which was in Vienna. And I'm like, sure, well, a little bit inconvenient, but let's do it. I mean, the time between the landing of the first flight in Vienna and the departure of the second connection flight to Cyprus, it was tough. Like, they were very optimistic, but I'm like, okay, you offered it. You offered this as a like Frankfurt Cyprus connection flight. Like, I'm trusting you. You estimated the time I get to, like I had to move from one flight to the next. I'm trusting you. Was it trust? Or did I just like postpone it in my worrying? I didn't look at it in my head anymore. Just before, like right before the flight. And I'm like, okay, right. I have a connection flight. This is like, I only have 30 minutes in between. Okay, it'll work. I'm trusting them. So I'm in that flight, in the first flight, and we're so fucking late. We are not leaving this airport on time, like at all. And I'm sitting in, I don't know, seat C13 something, and I'm stressing. I'm stressed out AF because I'm like, okay, it will take me 30 minutes. I have only 30 minutes in Vienna from one flight to the next, from one plane to the next. And based on like the delay, like we're already, I don't know, 45 minutes late. And I'm like, this is getting tough. This is tough. This is not going to work. This is not going to work. And with each passing second, this is going to work. This is not going to work. This is going to work less and less and less. This is not happening. And my nervous system was like through the roof, and not in a good way. And, you know, like every part of me was tense. Every part of me was freaking out. Inside, I was freaking out because I had this flight, I had the next flight. Then I, like in Larnaka, like landing like very, very late. Is there a bus that actually gets me to the hotel? And the hotel only like is open, like it was a small hotel. It only was open, I don't know, until 11 p.m. So, and I couldn't reach them. And like I tried reaching them and telling them when I was about to like get there. That went through the roof anyway. So I couldn't reach them, and I'm like, I have no idea if I'll be in this hotel by the end of this day, because we're not leaving. We haven't even left the first part of this long journey. And like every part of me wanted to like get out of this plane, take it in my two hands, put it on the like airstrip thing and shove it into the air and make it fly. Didn't work, obviously. This is not how things work. So I was feeling completely out of control. I was feeling so helpless because whenever the engine roared a little bit, I'm like, hope, will we take off now? And then the engine died again, and I'm like, oh no. It's all over. And then something happened, like the pilot said something, and I'm like, oh yeah, is it happening? And then all hopes were crushed when they told us that there's, I don't know, a fire nearby and we're not gonna depart anytime soon. And I'm like, oh God. But this sheer like hopelessness is like the worst fucking thing. And I've felt hopeless in my life as an artist, or in my creative process, and especially in putting my art out there and no one caring. I felt hopeless so often, and it's the most fucked up feeling. And I was feeling all of that, and not just what happened in that moment. I was feeling every moment of my life, of my creative life, of my school life, of my personal life, that I felt hopeless, when I felt hopeless. And that was hard. And there was this point when I realized, okay, I cannot do anything now. So I started making use of all the things I have learned during my training as a somatic coach. And because I realized, like, my nervous system, like what's happening on a basic level here is my nervous system perceives this situation as not safe. Like, I'm not safe. It's not like I don't know what's happening, or when it's happening, how it's gonna happen. Like, nothing is clear, so nothing is safe. So my nervous system, something is not safe. And it's not in a way that it's not, doesn't have to mean danger. It's just a non-safety. The nervous system judges the situation as a not safe situation. So what I need to do is show my nervous system that it is safe. So I have to give myself safety. So what I basically did in my seat C13 with all the other helpless suckers around me, I hugged myself. And I tried a little bit like, is it this kind of hug with the arms like this? And I'm like, it's not that. And then I was hugging myself a little bit differently. And all of a sudden, like I felt like a certain type of hug or touching my arms and body. I felt a relief inside. And I even think like one hand was on the side of my face, holding my cheek and stroking my cheek with my thumb. And I'm like, it's gonna be okay. It's not what I said. Like I'm right here. That's what I said. I'm right here. Because telling someone who's stressed out that it's gonna be okay, when this person clearly feels like the nervous system thinks, nothing's gonna be okay. Come on, are you fucking kidding me? This is not going to work. You can't trick your nervous system into thinking it's safe. You have to just tell your nervous system that it's not alone. Like, this is what I did. Like, I'm right here. And I'm right here. And it can be any kind of words. Like, for you, it might be something different. You have to just play around a little bit with it. But for me, like, those words really did the trick. And my nervous system calmed. And I was like bringing myself back to the present moment by just taking step for step. Like, this is the first station here, like the flight from Frankfurt to Vienna. Everything that comes after, I'm not gonna deal with this right now. It's this. So what can I do now? Okay, I'm gonna take out my phone again and check my app, the flight app, and it actually told me, oh, you're gonna miss your fucking next flight. But you can like rebook another flight, yeah. Or transfer to another flight, and it's like the AI was impeccable. And I don't know, I dealt with the whole thing and reorganized everything in the app of the Lufthansa flight app. So because I was able to give myself some safety, I was actually able to come up with getting my phone back out of my pocket and, very calmly actually reorganize the whole thing for myself. So, and this is the first step or the first moment when I really felt like I needed to surrender to whatever happens here because I have no control about it. I couldn't make the flight take off. But by surrendering to that and giving myself safety, the safety my nervous system needed, I was actually able to move through the situation and have ideas or come up with a solution, And this is what it is, surrendering to life or whatever happens and giving yourself the nourishment you need during those times so you can actually find a way to move through it and find a way through it. And because it's all like I've always had, like I've been roaming a little, like roaming the world of the coaching industry because I'm also like a coach, not just an artist, or maybe it's the same thing. And it's always been about, how can you solve your problem? And, your problem is A, and how can you like leave your problem behind and finally get to B, which is the solution. And yes, of course, sometimes like always we want to evolve and we want to move forward, but there's always this, if we want to move away from something and towards, like, want to move away from something we perceive as negative, from something bad, and we want to move to something quote unquote good, I mean, of course, that is obviously, it's a good notion. It's a good trajectory, of course, but this need to get away from the bad and towards the good, it always makes us our nervous system be in constant flight mode, because whenever something bad happens, oh no, how can I get rid of it and finally feel good again? It always is so stressful, because first, a nervous system always in flight mode, away from the bad towards the good. And also it has this, it makes us so dependent on things being good, because otherwise, if things are bad, always quote unquote, if things are bad, then we need oh no, another bad phase, another failure, another whatever, unsuccessful launch, whatever, or release of our art, and something bad happened again. We need to get away from it and flee from it towards something good. It's always black and white. But there are so many facets in between, and I realized every year for 3 years now, I came to the same conclusion, that it's not always about having to get away from the bad and running towards the good, but that it is about how can we be okay even though it's a bad phase, or even though something bad is happening, quote unquote, or something inconvenient is happening, or when it's hard, or when we feel out of control, or when something happens that we have no control over. Like in the plane, it wasn't about, okay, how can I get the plane to start? How can I fix being late? It's about how can I be okay even though the plane just won't start. I'm sorry. It's about how can we be okay no matter what? How can we be okay even though it's challenging something? How can we be okay even though something is hard or hurting or whatever? I have to drink something, guys. Because this way, and this way we can strengthen the relationship to ourselves in such an incredible way. And also we're independent. We become independent. I believe that this is truly what independence means, because when we are independent of what's happening around us, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay. If we're independent, imagine things are good and imagine things are bad, and you're gonna be okay either way, then you're fucking epically strong. Nothing can touch you. Or nothing can bring you down. Everything can touch you emotionally, of course. And it's good, because this is what we draw from. I mean, obviously as artists, but nothing can bring you down. I'm hearing the Wicked soundtrack so loudly. I'm distracting myself right now. Is ever gonna bring me down? Okay. Any Wicked fans out there? Whenever I say a phrase and I'm reminded of a song, it happens all the time. Anyway, back to the topic. But you know what I mean. And I really learned that on this journey. And when I missed the connection flight, but I got a later flight, and that flight was so delayed as well. But I found I landed in Larnaka, and I found a bus, and it brought me into the outskirts, I don't know, a couple of 100 meters from my hotel, and it was in the middle of the night already, but when I didn't find the door to the hotel, and I'm like, what the fuck? And everywhere around me were construction sites, and I'm like, am I even at the right place? And then, okay, it will work itself out. Calming myself down, giving myself a hug, telling myself I'm here. So I was able to keep moving, and then just around the corner there was the entrance, and yeah, I found the key. They put it out there for me, and I finally, after, I don't know, 14 hours, I was in my room. I made it after all. And I was so proud of myself, how I handled that. And it really taught me a lesson, like before I even landed. And you know, a couple of days later, when we, like at the retreat, when we were actually learning about how to hold sessions, and the first kind or type of session we learned was, it's called like basically a Kundalini energy session. And Kundalini energy is basically life force energy. It's creation energy. You can call it whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's life. It's creation energy, creative energy, sexual energy, whatever. And what we did was, our facilitators, the two people who are like training us, they were holding a session for us, the participants. And what we did, we just like lay down on the floor with a blanket, and she was like having some like mindfulness practices, breathing exercises. So we really like calm, like we are in a calm and grounded state. And then she had a playlist, and like for an hour or something. And what was happening basically is we were to surrender. The irony, I love it. Or the synchronicity, maybe. We had to surrender to whatever would come up. So during the sessions with the music and everything, anything could come up or nothing, and both is okay. So it's either like emotions could come up, tears could come up, sadness, rage, happiness, bliss. For me, it was, I had such an epic state of bliss. Like I have felt energy waves through my body the whole time. And I was so proud of myself, like all the things that happened before that came, it flooded my body, and like the tingling in my whole body was absolutely phenomenal. And I knew that it was like, this is like this life force energy rushing through me. And this is what happened during the sessions. Like I had these kind of sessions before, like online, when we had the training online. I didn't feel anything, and that was just as okay. But now I did, and it's basically like I said, surrendering to whatever process will come up, whatever is for you to come up, you know. And everything came full circle, you know, the experience on the plane, and then having this kind of session and learning how to facilitate it, because a couple of days later we were trained to hold these kind of sessions for other people, with a playlist, holding space for the people on the floor, on the ground, lying there, surrendering to whatever would come up. I mean, sometimes there were moments when I felt body sensations, I felt emotions. Sometimes I just saw images, pictures, but not memories, but just like stuff playing out in front of my closed eyes, you know, and all these kinds of things. And it's like going on a journey during these sessions. It's like going on a journey, and this is what surrender is about. It's like curiously exploring what's ahead, instead of trying to control what's going to happen or influence what's going to happen. You can only, take care of yourself, and then, be open to whatever. And in this way, it's way more fun, and you learn something along the way, and it's also way less stressful. So it's basically what I did in the plane. Like, I couldn't control it. I couldn't influence what was going to happen. I could take care of myself, though, and just surrender to the situation in life and curiously experience each step of the way. And I'm grateful it happened that way, because it taught me a lot about the work I'm doing as a facilitator myself, and as an artist, and as a person. Because surrendering, like, it's the same as like the creative process. Like, when you're it applies to so many situations, like when you want to create something, and sometimes inspiration just flows through you. And this is because maybe you are already in a state of surrender, or sometimes it just hits you because you're open. And sometimes nothing's happening. Inspiration, like, come on, where are you? And you can't force that. And sometimes, like, we feel like, oh my God, we're not artists when we don't create, or we have a deadline, or have a project plan or a release date or whatever. And we need to create something, quote unquote, need to create something. And we try to force it or make it come. And most of the time it's not happening that way. Sometimes it needs a kickstart, yeah, but it can't be forced. Like, this is, in my, like, how I see it, it's the same kind of energy. It's creation energy. And you can't force it, but you can surrender to the process. And maybe, this is what I'm doing. Like, each time I feel like I need to create something, but it's not happening, I'm holding a session for myself. Like, I'm just putting myself, like, I'm laying down in the field, quote unquote, in the energetic field of creation, and I just surrender. And maybe something comes up, and maybe not, but it's better than forcing anything. Also, I mean, this kind of, like, connecting with the energy itself, it's so beautiful, and it's so it makes me feel so magical. And it, like, whenever, like, it makes me feel more trust, like, I trust, like, this inherent deeply rooted trust that everything's gonna be okay. Yeah, especially, like, when you, like, I don't know, but I have felt so hopeless when I put my stuff out there, and there was no reaction whatsoever. I mean, the amount of podcast episodes I put out there, like, with my other podcast, and people, like, listen to it. I mean, I see the statistics, but no one has ever reached out, and it hurts, and it's so frustrating, and I don't know why. It makes me feel hopeless, and it makes me feel alone, like I'm shouting into the void and no one's answering me. Like, it's the worst. I don't know, but I mean, it's I don't even want to say that it's part of being a creative, but I mean, maybe it's, especially, like, I can only say it's part of my journey, and maybe it's part of your journey. And if it is, I feel you. I feel you. But what I want to say is that I can't control that. I can't control how people respond or not to my art, I can't control it. I can't influence. I can't make people connect with me, like, not in the way that my ego in this, or my nervous system wants, in that way, like, shaking them, like, listen to my art, it's good. So all I can do is, surrender to the situation and keep on creating, finding ways to keep on creating, and finding the strength to put my stuff out there again and again, no matter what. And that's exactly it. Like, I don't think that way anymore, that I think, how can I get away from this? How can I make people like my stuff? How can I get famous and finally leave behind this state of like not being recognized as an artist? Of course, my intention is like to earn money with my art full time, and to make a name for myself and have impact, obviously. And it gets to still be the intention. But the way I feel about the situation is more that no matter what happens, how can I make sure that I'm okay and that I'm still able to put my stuff out there, that I'm still able to create, and especially that I still have fun creating. So this way, it's more about how can I make sure I'm okay no matter what? And then I'm independent of the situation. So the intention, like my direction, there's less pressure on me having to get from one point to the other, It's harder, and it feels more pressure, and it feels more like life is at stake, getting away from one scenario to the better scenario. This feels way harder, and like life feels more like harder this way, and more fucked up. Then, okay, there's a situation I do not prefer, and there's a situation I do prefer, but whichever situation is like how it is now, I just have to make sure I'm okay either way. And this is like I said, I do this with somatic work, embodiment work, energetic work, all the things I talked about, and I'm so glad that I not only found this for myself, but also that I get to support other people with that on their journey. And this is just such a gift. And yeah. So my loves, that was a story about surrender, and yeah, a very, very heartfelt opening into how I myself struggle with control or not control, or the challenges of being a person, basically, or an artist or whatever. Like whatever you are, you don't have to be an artist to struggle with this kind of thing. So, but artists specifically, I mean, there's nothing that is worse than you put your art out there and no one seems to care. So for all of you who feel the same way, try to surrender to the situation and make sure you're okay, even though it's hard right now. And with that, thanks for listening, and see you next time.